Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Monday Blues Round 16 game review. The Baggers got up 17-10, 112 against the Hawks, 7-10, 52. And we have ticked the box for Round 16, boys. My name is Amal, and joining me tonight, we have Carl, Moose, Andy, and George. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this fine Sunday night?
All good.
I'm happy.
Starting the week off with a win is always good.
It was a good win. Exactly. And it didn't have the feelings of that prior to the game. Certainly not for me, at least. Anyway, I parked in the city. It was gloomy. It was rainy. Got a notification on my phone about 20 minutes prior to the game that TDK was a very, very late out, and Lewis Young had come into the side. And I'm just thinking, oh man, do we have the right profile for this game and the conditions that have presented themselves today? George, what did you think?
Well, yeah, very similar. He was obviously touch and go. We said in the preview that he might not sort of make it in. Obviously, they got Reeves and Leake, and they're Sauce, on his own rucking against them. So you obviously needed to bring Young in, even though the conditions probably would have favoured your small or your running types. But I think you had to make that call, and I think that's why Young didn't. He was withheld really from the VFL yesterday. But no, I was still fairly feeling fairly confident going into the game. But mate, yeah, the teamwork amazing today. So although we got hit with a couple of injuries, Cotter suspended, the team shifted a little bit from what it was against Gold Coast. No recognised ruckman, no ruck in the team. So huge. Keeping a team goalless in a half of footy. Like, doesn't matter which opposition it is. It was fantastic. So yeah, great effort, selfless play. The effort was there, the intent was there. So yeah. Very, very similar to last year's Carlton Hawthorn. That first half, very, very similar.
I think selfless is the right word to describe the majority of the game today. Mus, what was your feelings about today's game against the Hawks?
Well, it was good for me, De Koning not being named. I ended up catching him out in the stand, so that worked out well. It was really good. I felt that they moved the ball really well. There was a bit of that Gold Coast sort of feel of moving the ball through the corridor, but we also used the flanks a little bit and then sort of dived in through the corridor where options were open. There was a lot of that small play link-ups. It was really good. I think Cunners came into the game, and we're going to start seeing a bit more of him. Big question marks for me. The ruck, that's all I'm going to say. I think we'll talk about it a little bit later, but there's a big gap there because, off the top of my head, I think it was 27 taps to 61, but we still got centre clearances. So it says a lot about Hawthorn midfield, but it also says, what are we going to do when we're actually playing a good side that has a key sort of ruckman that can sort of navigate, and they've got some midfielders that can read play. So, good to get the win.
Yeah. You bring up some good points there, and we will touch on them a little later. Andy, thoughts on today's game?
Did what we have to do better. This is what we expect from Carlton, from the start of the year. This is the performance we have wanted all year, and this is what we know we can do. So did we, flick a switch against the Gold Coast, and we've kind of worked it out. I had my doubts, in our preview video. I definitely had my doubts when TDK wasn't named. But, no ruckman, no problem. We did all right today. Really looking forward to see what we can do against Fremantle next week.
Absolutely.
To be honest.
Absolutely.
This is a lot of good signs today. Again, so we built on the Gold Coast game, which is, great. Next week, let's see what we can do next week.
Carl.
G'day, gents. Me and Moose were heading into the game, and even though when TDK was named there, I was still confident. I just had a feeling that we were going to win comfortably. And just touching on to the ruckman, we got dominated, but the midfielders did what they had to do. They just smashed it. Good
I will-
footy.
I'll give credit to Jack. Battled all day today. I know we talked about him last week or the week before or whatnot, but yeah, it's and although yes, we did get dominated in the ruck, I will say he, I think a goal, 17 touches, a few hit outs, tackles, getting on the last line of defence. So he battled well.
He was actually everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
He ran. Yeah,
he,
he ran a lot.
worked, he worked his ass off.
Yeah.
He worked his ass off
Yeah.
today.
He did. It was a good game. Take the win.
Now, looking at the first quarter, Charlie kicked the first goal, but there was almost a slight scare, I think, because Carlton didn't attack the middle of the ground as much as they did against the Gold Coast in the first and second quarter. They actually used the wing a lot more predominantly than they have in the last couple of weeks, but they used it differently. If you noticed this time around, it wasn't long bombs and it wasn't dump kicks from defense into the wing and hoping one of Harry or Charlie would mark it. It was actually handballs and link ups running along the wing, which was so good to see. Do you guys notice that as well?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And it definitely created the early opportunities for Carlton to sort of get themselves on the scoreboard, and they did put the first one in through Charlie Curnow. Now his brother, Grandpa Ed, Carl.
Grandpa Ed.
He looked off today.
When's he looked on?
He looked very tired all game.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
quarter.
He was proppy.
Did anyone catch? Did something happen to him or?
I know.
Left his walking stick at home, I think.
He's. I don't know if he went in hard on a contest or whatnot, but yeah, you're right. Like I think it was the first or the second quarter. He was like, he was walking like he was winded. He was jogging to contest. But this was the game that, for me, like he's not just lost pace. Like he's sort of losing not just the pace of the game, but even the skill and all that kind of stuff. You know what you're going to get with Ed, right? He hacks those kicks forward. Is your endurance play in tagger? But I felt like today he looked past it, right? And I know it's Hawthorn, and a lot of there weren't really any passengers. Everyone did their job, but in a side that was doing so well, I don't think he could have he didn't really fly under the radar. Like you could sort of tell from looking at him at a couple of contests. I don't know, just didn't look on. So
Labouring. He looked like he was
Yes.
labouring from some
Yeah.
contests
Yeah.
to the next contest. He just, I mean, did he do his role? I don't know what his role was. Did he do bad? No. I thought he'd done okay. I still think Dow deserved the run. And this would have been a perfect game for Paddy Dow.
Yep.
And I love that he's, embarrassing our match committee in the VFL every week. First game back in the VFL after playing, three quarters in 3 or 4 weeks. He gets 29, kicks 3, and just kills it.
Yeah.
So, very happy for Paddy Dow.
And you know what? Speaking of Paddy Dow, Ed, I was looking from round one, sort of on our choice of sub, right? Because if I great game, love today, right? It's fantastic. If I had to pick out only a couple of things that I was still a little bit iffy about, and we covered these in the preview. One being the selection of Ed Curnow, when you could have had Vince making his debut, Dow playing or whatnot, but the selection of sub. So, as we said a couple times in the show, your sub is someone that's going to break some lines, inject some pace, get the ball forward, attack the game, change it up a little bit, right? I was looking through from round one onwards, and I've noted down a couple of stats as well. But if you look at Voss's choice of sub, first 3 rounds, Lockie O'Brien, so someone who gets sort of wing play down the line, kicks along down the line, usually might turn it over, kick it on the full here and there, but he gives you your long kick options, right? Jack Carroll, Honey, and then Lockie O'Brien again, then Kennedy twice. Now, this is where he sort of started to go for a very different player. So he went from Lockie, Carroll, Honey, Lockie. The St Kilda and Brisbane game, we had them back-to-back. So he's gone Kennedy twice, and then he's gone Ed for the Doggies game, and I think he had 2 touches that game. Hewitt, Ed.
Gave away a free kick in his first contest too.
Yeah. So you've gone your slow midfielders, Kennedy, Ed, Hewitt, Ed, and then he's gone Dow 3 times since the Melbourne game. So it was the Melbourne, Essendon, Gold Coast game, and then he's reverted back and he's gone George Hewitt. We were discussing who's going to be the sub and whatnot. Obviously, the TDK withdrawal allowed Young to get in, and Hewitt was going to be the sub. Otherwise, it would have been one of the other emergencies. But you look at the choice of sub, and I look at Dow's 3 games when he came on. Right, Dow 9 touches and 159 meters gained, 7 touches, 114 meters gained, 8 touches, 213 meters gained. Hewitt, love Georgie, right? 6 handballs at minus 27 meters gained today. So he's come on as a sub, right? And he's that style of player where he's an inside mid and whatnot. You're going to get it from him. But again, wouldn't you love having someone that's just going to run and rip the game open a little bit? And Honey was in the stands. You put him on. Obviously Dow. You don't want Dow to be a sub possibly again. At least give him a full run. But yeah, just the choice of sub. I don't know. Again, sticking to that little point where it's we shouldn't be. I'm happy over the win, obviously, but there's one of those things that it still annoys me a little bit because against a better side, if the game's there to be won, is that the person that you want to bring on?
Yeah,
Good point.
I think Dow. Let's just backtrack a little here, George. You sort of mentioned the names that sort of got mentioned, and then you get Dow in for 3 weeks. Let's not forget that was by default. We're down midfielders. They had to name Dow. There was no other choice. So I don't think he was named by let's give him a go and he's done his thing in the Magoos, bring him in. It was by default.
I just don't get why. Again, I mentioned this in the preview video. If Dow has told the club that he's received offers elsewhere, we need to play finals. Finals are still on the agenda. Why aren't we playing Dow? Are we that immature as a league still, like I said, that we can't, move past someone wanting to switch teams in the future? Why is TDK getting the game? From your video today, Moose, 100% he's leaving.
Yeah.
100% he's leaving. Great video, by the way. Great scoop. But 100% TDK is leaving. Why is he still getting the game?
Yeah. For those,
I felt bad
for those that
afterwards.
For those that haven't seen the video just yet, Mus, do you want to take us through your little encounter with old mate TDK?
Well, we came, and as we sat down to our seats, George alluded to the fact that there were some Carlton players sitting just behind us, sort of towards the boxes behind. So I kind of kept him in the vision. Unlucky for them, but took my opportunity. As soon as I saw him stand up, he sort of towered over everyone, so it was hard to miss him. Took the opportunity as he sort of bounced out and sort of threw my hand out in front of him and said, "Oh, can I take a photo?" But if you have a look at the video, unfortunately for his sake, it turned out to be a video when he got asked a hard question. For me, the body language and the way he sort of just walked off and sort of hit me on the back and goes, "Yeah, good on you," or something like that. So, yeah, it's sad because I think Andy, you've sort of mentioned how important and valuable he is to sort of the direction we want to head in. But, mate, if they don't hold on to him, we're in some strife. That's all I've got to say.
Spot on.
He's gone.
Yeah, the body language in that was kind of just like...
Next minute, Carlton releases a press release tomorrow. TDK signed 10-year deal.
They kind of have to after that video.
Imagine it's off the back of that video. They're like, "Oh crap, they're onto us."
Yeah.
Now the word finals. The word finals is on the lips of everyone after 2 rounds. You guys would have all seen the video that Daniel Gorringe, who's I must say, brilliant. I love his work. Some of the stuff that he posts is absolutely brilliant. But Daniel Gorringe, this is for you. Put the lid back on, bro.
100%.
Close it,
Throw it away.
and just
100%.
put it away. We are nowhere near it. And I'll tell you what, it was great. It was great to win today, and win comfortably. It was a very relaxing, very enjoyable Sunday afternoon at the G. The likes of which we haven't experienced probably as much as we'd like to for all of this 2023 season. We've only beaten the Gold Coast and we've beaten Hawthorn in the last 2 weeks. Yes, we've played better footy, but these are not teams that we should be saying finals were baby about. Nah. No way, no chance in hell. The real tests come up next week, and they come up the week after that against Freo in the WA and Port. Now, with the game style that we've produced over the last 2 weeks, is that against the teams, is that enough for us to get excited and start saying finals, baby? No, it's not. Like, I hate to, sort of put a dampener on everyone's happiness and everything like that, but let's be realistic here.
Calm down.
Just calm down. It's the Hawks who didn't have Sicily, and Sicily saves about 4 or 5 goals every week. The guy's brilliant. And Gold Coast.
Sicily's a much better defender than Darcy Moore, by the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Puts it all over him. It all over him.
Darcy Moore doesn't save that many goals like Sicily does.
Nah. Darcy Moore had one good game all year. That was against us because we kept kicking it to him.
Yeah.
Overrated defender.
that Carlton game got to Darcy Moore's head as well. Bloke thinks he's everything.
Can I ask you a question, guys? Can I ask you all a question? How did you feel in the third quarter when Hawks kicked 3 in a row? Honestly,
I felt like
be honest. Because I don't know about you guys, but I swear to God, I felt some PTSD kick in from last year. I was like, oh no, because it was identical. This is what happened. And I was like, surely not. Sure. And I said to myself, when they kicked 2 in a row, like those voices crept into my head, and I was like, I'm not going to stress yet, but if they kick one more, it's on. And they kick one more, and to the boys' credit, we did all right after that.
We quashed it. Yeah.
But 3 in a row, it had me thinking about last year.
I watched the replay or the little KO mini on the TV just before we jumped on the podcast, and as Hawthorn kicked the third goal of in the third quarter, Brian Taylor he decided to say that it was game on. We were 40-something points up.
I think it was Dwayne Russell, or was it one of the? Yeah, he did. Yeah, was it Dwayne or was it BT?
Dwayne or BT? I think it was BT. Sounded like BT.
Oh, good. I might have been watching the
he's
on.
Called third goal, right? We're 60-something. They're on 22 or 23, and it's game on apparently.
It's against Carlton.
But that's how little. That's how little they think about Carlton. Yeah. Let's be real.
Man.
And fair enough. We've got history. You know what I mean? It's what we do.
Well, I'll never forget. Well, yeah, this time last year, as you said, Andy, how do you feel? Like it was like reminiscent of exactly what happened last year. And then if you remember, the week after that was the Port game where it was. I never forget. It was like 78-29 at halftime. Relaxed, they go and kick the next however many 10 of the next 11 or something like that. So it's and we've put ourselves in that position. So even commentators, as you said, I think at that stage, Jamal, we were about 38 up. Now, any decent side, when you're 38 up, you're in control. You're in control of the game. And look, we controlled the game. We had a great game. And I think we had some of those lapses in the third quarter. Better teams would have probably laid more goals on us in some of those lapses. But we composed. We held ourselves well. But it's that doubt, that seed of doubt in all of our minds, because you had your heart broken. How many times, how many times have we, lost a decent sized lead like that and been run over the top? Too many to mention. Probably the worst of them, and Andy, we spoke about this a few weeks ago. Mother's Day a couple of years ago against the Doggies. What is the margin as a Carlton fan that you feel comfortable being up by? It's so hard to answer. Like you always feel a bit of nervousness, even if you're 10 goals up. They kick a few, you can't get comfortable. So.
Yeah, spot on.
Well, thankfully, this time round we were able to quash whatever efforts they had, and look, that part of the reason why I'm not on the finals train just yet. Depends how the next couple of weeks go. But part of the reason why I'm not on that train just yet is because of the fact that in the third quarter the Hawks came out firing, like a lot of the good teams will, and what did we resort to?
Old school play styles down the line.
Old school play styles, yep. Down the line, long bombs. It didn't last long, to the credit of the boys. It didn't last long. They fixed it pretty quickly, but that's what scares me. That's where the fear and the doubt, that seed of doubt is planted. In that third quarter, for that 10 or 15 minutes where Hawthorn got on a run of 3 goals, and we didn't stick to the game style that got us into that position initially. We changed it around and we went back to that same crap that we've been doing for so long, even though we had such a massive lead. Now, we're not going to be in this position with other teams. Fremantle won't allow us to get into this position, certainly won't, and neither will Port. Port
I
is
feel
one
like
team.
The third quarter's probably been our weakest point, to be honest, for most games.
Yeah. Now, Port, I mean, we all watched the game last night with Essendon and Port. Port did not give up. It was wet. It was greasy conditions. And Essendon were playing a good brand of footy, but Port just did not give up. And that's what ultimately won them the game. I don't know how Carlton can withstand that kind of heat.
Well, we haven't proven ourselves yet.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Every time the pressure's hit us, we've crumbled. And that's been Carlton over the last 25 years, really.
Yeah.
But, I mean, especially, over the last 3 or 4 years, when we should have been pushing for finals probably from 2019, 2020 maybe?
Yeah, I think we had a good enough list.
It's now 2023, and at round 16, we're sitting 14th on the ladder. And people are saying, "Oh, finals." We're in. We're 14th on the ladder at round 16. Let's just focus on next week. Enjoy the win. By all means, enjoy the win. We've had so very few of them. Let's just enjoy it. But next week. And if we beat Freo, and if we put up, and I mean not just lose, but if we actually play a good brand against Port and lose, man, who knows? But if against Port and against Freo, we just, resort to the way we've played previously to the last 2 games, then they mean nothing.
Yeah.
So again, today means nothing if we don't back it up next week.
Yep. Exactly. Because Freo's going to bring the heat next week.
100%.
They're sitting 11th on the ladder at the moment. They're on 28 points. They're a game outside the 8. Next week, right, we have Adelaide Crows versus Essendon. It's at Marvel, if my memory serves me right. One of those teams will drop out of the 8. Freo's going to come with heat. Freo's going to come with heat. Can our game plan, can our game style that we've been able to execute pretty well against bottom 8 sides in Gold Coast Suns and Freo, will that game style stack up against the heat of a team that's pushing for the 8, genuinely pushing for the 8?
We need a ruckman.
Our best I swear to God, we can match it with anyone.
But
we showed that. But that's exactly right. When do we do that?
Yeah.
So this is the test. This is the test. Last year, we didn't need 4 quarters. Last year, we needed 1. And then just kind of ride that lead. The competition is a lot more even this year. And it shows because we're sitting 14th and we're 2 and a bit games out.
Yeah.
So we really need to stick to our brand, and we need to bring it. We know the other team's going to bring it. Every team thinks we're beatable, and the blueprint is there on how to beat us. But if our mids get the job done, we are so hard to beat.
Yep, agreed.
So it's very important. We just get it done. We bring it, not them. We need to bring it.
You know where I think we drop off, and it's quite evident in those sort of chain of games where we just did not look good. The mids were winning the contested ball. Unquestionable. We know that. That's what they were doing. They were getting it done. But I feel like the confidence dropped when they were doing all the hard things, getting the ball forward. And I felt like that, chain of games, the forwards let us down, whether it was accuracy, whether it was no pressure inside the forward line. And I felt like that sort of, filtered through the team, and it was a confidence thing, and it was just a downward spiral from there. I just feel like if we get a couple of these games, I just feel like if we had another game with a team, maybe not a Fremantle, maybe another bottom 4, bottom 6 team, we could see a little bit more structure within the team, a little bit more dare through the midfield, a little bit more confidence and belief come into the side. And I feel like if we get that back, we can match it with those good sides.
Well, the one thing I've
That's
noticed that the one thing I've noticed that we have improved on dramatically is actually hitting targets inside 50.
We're not bombing it.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Would you, you know,
Yeah.
and we're not taking low percentage shots anymore.
Mm.
We're looking inboard. So instead of kicking points from 50 or 45 out on the
Yep.
boundary, we're looking inboard. Charlie's passing it off. Harry's
Harry.
field kicking is amazing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So when you got the big boys doing that, and our forward looks so much better with Jack Martin in it.
Oh,
Oh.
Jack Martin, like, I didn't realise, and I don't know if it was just me, but I didn't realise how important Jack Martin was until he was out this year, and Motlop, Durden, and Owies were going missing for 3.5 quarters a game.
yeah.
our combination. I think our combination now, Martin and Cunningham
Yep.
mainly,
Yep.
changed the dynamic of our forward line big time.
Yep.
Yes.
It's a much more functioning forward line structure when you got those two blokes, and then you've got like Martin kicked 3 from 12 touches. I think Cunningham had 2 goals. He had 2 early ones. Fogarty had 18 touches, goal. I think he had 6 or 7 tackles. His pressure was manic as well. And then he's kicked 1 as well. But that combination, that 4 there, I think is alongside Charlie and Harry today was brilliant. So as a positive, I think mainly Martin and Cunningham changed the dynamic big time up forward. And the lowering of the eyes, the spotting up targets inside 50, Harry, hitting targets. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But why is it taking so long to fix that? Like it's obviously a simple fix. Like instead of bombing it long, why is it taking to round 15, 16 to, all right, boys, don't bomb it in, look for a target?
Well, clearly
That's
it's
what's the annoying
personnel.
part.
Yeah.
Clearly it's personnel.
100%.
Clearly we didn't have Jack Martin, we didn't have Cunningham. So I don't know if it's leadership on the ground. Maybe Jack Martin is that forward leader. Maybe that's what he is. And we just missed that. Because as soon as he came in, we looked, even against Essendon,
Yeah.
we looked better up forward. Now,
He's
the Essendon
composed
game,
with the ball.
exactly, and he makes good decisions. He puts himself in the right spot. I can't wait to see what he can do against a good side. That's why the challenges that are coming now are huge.
Yeah.
So
Massive.
it's just good to see us hitting targets, man.
Yeah.
Like for weeks, it felt like we weren't hitting targets in the forward line, and that's what was letting us down. And then our forwards are taking those low percentage shots, kicking long points.
I will say, having Walsh back at his best, running through the midfield off a handball receive and just straight down the throat of Charlie and Harry is beautiful. And I think Harry's leading the league in marks on the run as well. So he's getting into positions and things like that. So once his conversion starts improving, it'll be fantastic. But having them, and then on the Cunningham and Jack Martin, I think it's on that personnel point you just said, Andy. It's that they have this silk and poise about them. That they don't panic. They don't just bomb it in. They don't just chuck it on the boot and get meters gained on it as well. It's actually just a little bit of poise to spot up a target. Fogarty as well. Fogarty was doing it, so it's just having that speed, that pace, that poise. But when Harry's sort of not blazing away and running inside 50 and spotting up targets 2 or 3 times a game, it's a good day. So loved the forward line combination and loved the delivery into the forward line.
Yeah, it was using that word that you said earlier, George, selflessness, right? So Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow weren't the only targets, having a ping at goal. It was everyone, absolutely everyone. Even Chera got on the scoreboard, Doherty got on the scoreboard. Again, our mids were getting on the scoreboard, which was brilliant to see. But to your point, Curnow and Mackay were not, if the ball was in their hands, it wasn't just go for goal. There were plenty of times where they turned inboard and looked at other targets inside. There was, I think it was in the 4th quarter where, I can't remember who it was, someone kicked it into Curnow and then Curnow kicked it across to, was it Chera or Owies? It was one of them. Which ended up in a goal. But that happened so many times throughout the game. It was an elite level of selflessness, not only from the forwards, but from the rest of the team as well. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
The teamwork, that selflessness and teamwork, but it's how hard the players work today, right? So like 87 tackles today versus, you look at the Essendon performance, we had 30 34 tackles, whatever it was.
33.
33 tackles. Harry worked his ass off. Jack Silvani worked his ass off. Fogarty worked his ass off. Like these guys that were Cripps' second and third efforts. Like everyone was on today. Everyone was willingness to get the ball forward and be first hands to the ball was fantastic. So just the polar opposite of some of the games we've seen, especially that Bombers game. The actual effort, the intent. So the tackling efforts for me was huge. You could just tell rewatching the game after we go home.
Yeah. And to do all that, and I know we touched on this a little earlier, but let's bring that up again because I think this really does need to be applauded. To do that with Hawthorn dominating the hit out 61-27. We had Silvani and Lewis Young in the ruck, sharing the ruck role. And then for us to not only balance out the clearances, but win it by 5, well done. Well done. The work rate from the midfield
Huge.
was off its head.
Yeah.
Something
I
hasn't
mean,
been
rough
for,
or rough,
for a while.
we had the talent. What was that, Carl?
I said it's something we haven't done in a while. Is dominate clearances like that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but if you throw the question up, if you get an All-Australian or a ruckman that is a good tap ruckman to a decent midfield,
Sean Darcy next week.
where do we stand? That's the
Sean
question.
Darcy next week. Sure.
Wow.
Well, that's the thing. Today we had no excuse. We had to win the clearances. Look at the talent we had compared to theirs, the midfield talent.
Yeah.
Next week they've got a much better midfield than Hawthorn. So
How long's Pitane out?
The Freya's got a
Pitane.
1 to
Knee.
2
3
weeks.
weeks, I think.
1 to 2 weeks, so yeah, 3 months.
No, I actually don't know. I just done the old Carlton.
Props to Jack. So undersized today. Like rewatching it, he was so undersized, and he friggin' battled, man. He was a beast in there. So he was almost like
But we had
I don't know, he was playing like 2 men.
we had another mid. That's the thing that sort of it's a double-ended sort of sword because yes, all right, well, shorter ruckman wasn't great, but we had an extra mid ultimately. Lewis Young puts a body on, and we know Jack doesn't give up. So
Even Cripps said it on Triple M after the game. He said Jack's biggest strength is he just competes. And this is a quote. Jack Silvani's biggest strength is he competes. He calls himself the Jack of all trades, master of none. And this is coming out of the Jack's mouth. So he knows he's not a master of anything in particular, but he can do absolutely everything, and he does. He plays wherever we need, and he does a great job.
There's a utility. That's the thing. Like he's not, and this is what the interesting conversation we had in that I think was brought up a couple of weeks ago, like about Jack. So he's a utility player now. He's probably not going to be your third best forward sort of anymore. Is he? You don't want to play him in ruck every week. Like where's his spot? So it's going to be very interesting. Like now the back end of the season in terms of contract interest and trades and things like that as well, and how he plays, because he's sort of just been thrown around for a long time now.
Yep. Could Silvani be? Well, he probably already is, but do you reckon he could become as good as Langford as far as a utility role is concerned?
Langford.
He's been really good for Essendon this year.
He's got the worst head I've ever seen of any person ever in the world. I don't want to talk about Kyle Langford.
What, worse than Bailey Fritsch?
Worse than my left foot. Put that on your TikTok.
Ay.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Speaking of shots fired, there was an off the ball incident that involved Jacob Wittering today.
I saw that
at the game. Now, I can't remember who he was that he attacked, but mauled. He dropped him to the ground unconscious, I think, from memory. But after the game, Jacob Wittering was interviewed, and he was asked a question about it, and he seemed pretty confident about it all. He said it was open palmed, and he thought that it was in the chest. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you reckon when we first saw the vision at the game, we all thought, oh shit, this is probably going to be weak. But hearing Voss's presser and also the interview that Wiedering gave, they seem fairly confident that he'll probably just get away with a fine and nothing more than that.
If it was a hit to the chest, why would there be a fine then? Is that
The vision-
can you not do that?
The vision looked like they hit the head or neck.
Mm.
So
I
they've
think it's
rated
probably
either
gonna-
low or medium impact.
Yeah.
Probably come down to what the Hawthorn player says.
Yeah.
Because he was put on report straight away. It wasn't like a match review or anything like that. It was the umpire reported him.
But once the Hawks player got up, you could see him. He actually reached for his chest. It wasn't for his neck. So who knows?
Interesting.
Find out.
Interesting.
And Wiedering's a robot, mate. He's a beast. Like he'll pack some power in those ones as well. But yeah, we'll find out tomorrow.
Now, overall team balance and team selection, we were very, very critical of it. But how did you feel overall, Carl? What did you think?
Very happy to get rid of Ed.
Yeah.
Fair.
Plain and simple.
Fair. Are there
You know
any
what?
other?
In particular, one play. I know Musa was telling you that one on the wing where the ball was passed to him,
Yeah.
and like instead of trying to spoil, he just I don't even know what to say. He just stood there thinking, "Yeah, all right, the Hawks player got it before me, so yeah, all good." Didn't make an attempt to spoil or nothing.
Yeah.
I think that's where his career's at.
That guarantees
Over.
him the next 4 games.
Yeah, easy. And the best and fairest.
Musa, you happy with the overall team balance?
I don't like Ed. He's got to go. I mean, you got to bring in a young kid and play a young kid and get him some experience. I don't care who you play. You forget Dow. Obviously, Dow's sort of whatever's happened internally with the club and him and whatnot. But you bring in anyone, just give him a run. There's no point playing Ed. Like against Essendon, I got it. Made sense. He sort of did a job, and then that was about it. But yeah, again, we called it in the pre-game. I don't know what he's coming in for. Balance-wise, I think the mids were really good. The forwards absolutely worked. The best thing that I liked about that Martin and Cunners combo was it allowed the wingers to hit the scoreboard. Akers and Doherty both kicking goals. It's different. It's silky. It's smooth. It flows. I like it.
Yeah, a lot of people did get on the scoreboard. Another one, another mid that is kind of slipping under the radar. No, sorry, not mid, half forward. In Lockie Fogarty today had a really good game as well. Flew under the radar all game, but he had 18 disposals and 1 goal.
Wow.
And 7 tackles. He's a tackling machine, man. The guy's there for his pressure.
Yep.
He's for his size, he's a strong lad. So, and
Why did it take him so long to put him in the team?
Match committee and selection integrity, mate.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, right? Like to Carl's and Musa's point about Ed, like, so for example, now, like, and he looked very proppy. So I don't know about next week. Like, they might keep him in, but he just didn't look up to it. Like, he looked slow, looked winded for large patches of the game. So you've got Jack Carroll, I think he played in the VFL yesterday. Obviously, Dow blew the lights out. I don't know if he got concussed at the end or broken nose or whatever it was, but he got hit hard in the last 10 seconds of the game. And testament to him, man. Your team's up by 80 points in the VFL, 80, 85 points, whatever it was, and 10 seconds left. You attack that contest like his life depended on. You've got Binns, Binns, Carroll, Dow, Honey, sort of. So there's a few blokes that probably will need at least one more crack on their contract year as well to play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the coming weeks. So based on I know, like, before we go, we'll talk about it obviously a bit more in the preview, but based on obviously this team, who goes in, who goes out, there won't really be any passengers today.
No, aside from Ed. Ed was the only passenger on that list today.
I think passenger's a bit too harsh on Ed today. I think he did a few all right things, but not enough to justify his position in the side.
People have been dropped for less.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
but I mean, is it fair to base people getting dropped at Carlton? People get dropped at Carlton for anything, and people keep their place in the team for nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's necessarily a good measuring point.
Well, if that's the case, then Ed should stay in for the rest of the season.
That's what I said. He guaranteed him the next 4 games.
Did nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that props back to your point, Mel. Props to Fogarty, man. Like again, let him stay in there. Let him play. Let him have a run of games because that forward mix is looking good. You know, give Motlop a run. I know Motlop had a blinder yesterday in the VFL, kicked 4 goals. Let him have that little run in the VFL. Yeah.
Let him simmer. Let him simmer. Don't rush him back in because it can't be just one player, right? It's about the synergy in the forward line that we have at the moment.
Yeah.
We've kicked over 100 points in the last 2 games. Now, bringing Motlop in might stuff that all up, and we all know how fragile us as supporters are. Let alone how they might feel out on the ground with someone like Motlop coming into the list when for the last 8 weeks he's been missing. Don't do it. There's no need to do it. If there's any change, like I'm extremely. Oh, speaking of people that we're happy about, I know I was talking about Motlop, but Boyd had a cracker of a game today.
Fantastic.
Yeah, solid.
Cracker of a game. That
Goes in.
For his height, that bloke has a lot of strength on him.
Some of the spoiling attempts and you know, his defensive work was impressive.
Yeah, he just goes for it.
It was brilliant. I forgot. I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was talking about now. Bloody Boyd. He had a good game.
They were all left corner.
I've forgotten.
They worked hard for each other today. Honestly, I very hard to picked on a couple of things there, but really like props to them, the effort, the manic work rate from at every line, right? You know, the leadership shown. So it was good. Generally speaking, after that sort of that third quarter, and teams you get on a bit of a run, and you sort of, as you said, we started to go back into a couple of those old style long bombs, things like that as well. What I will say as well is Hawthorn's disposal and some of they weren't clean. It was deplorable, right? Some of their errors, their skill errors. Dropping multiple missed handballs, multiple balls dropped. So they did us a favour. Like as good as some of our patches were, Hawthorn were pretty bad today. It didn't look like a few of the Hawthorn games that I've watched this season. They just looked off. So we capitalised. We capitalised. We although yes, they came back within 38 or whatever it was, we started to kick away back again. It could have easily been a 3 or 4 goal win, but so credit for us to capitalise on that.
Yeah, well, just like what's his name, Fergalicious Green from Hawthorn had he had two shots in the first or the second quarter.
Second.
It was the second, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just in that pocket and missed both of them.
And one across the face, he had 3.
One across the face, that could have changed the dynamic of the game right there. Hawks missed a few early in the first, they missed a few early in the second. It could have been a different game altogether. There was so many times, and Hawks will be a good side, and I don't think it's going to take them long to get there. I think you can see how they're trying to play, what type of footy style they're trying to play, and it's that one handball or that one kick, that link up that's missing at the moment. And once they execute it fully, they're going to be a good side. I'm very, very bullish on the Hawks. They've got a very, very, it's a young list, but it's a solid list. So for the Hawks fans out there, I think, yes, you will go through some tough times in the immediate future, but very, very quickly, I think things will turn for them. Very quickly.
I really like John Newcomb. I think John Newcomb's a star.
Yeah.
Newcomb, Will Day.
Mitch Lewis, his goal kicking action is pure.
Yeah.
It's A grade.
100%.
Like Harry.
It's not cut.
Like today, you throw Sicily and CJ in that defence there today, and they would have cleaned them. They would have been a lot cleaner, I think. So that's count up against them on a good day. So you take it, and as Andy said, it's trusting the process now. It's 1 week at a time. I know it's cliche and stuff like that as well, but we've never been a club, a team, or a club in that, for that matter, that handles those tags and those words well, like your finals and this and that. So 1 week at a time, trust the process. For me personally, although there's it's like no one wants 8th spot, and it's a very even sort of 7th to 14th or whatever it is. But you look at, the draw that we had as well, that, could work either way depending on the run that we have. But you need at least 13 or so wins, possibly with that extra round this year. You need at least 13 to probably get there. So it means we need to go on a serious run and have a scalp or two. So it's just taking it 1 week at a time. I'd rather we actually utilise the back end of the season to work on what we sort of didn't really do last year, where we sort of fell away. Have something consistent and tangible to then go into next year with. So I hate using the word next year because I've fucking done it for the last 2 decades. But you know what I mean? Just I'd rather work on that where we know we answer some questions that we have as a club, as a list, and just set up for next year. Because realistically speaking, that's the process. It's 1 week at a time. And if things fall in our favour, geez, wow, yay! But yeah, can't be discussing finals off the back of 2 wins and 2 wins against Gold Coast and Hawthorn.
Not only that, I think the reason why it's the best option is to take it 1 week at a time is because I can't handle it. 1 week at a time is all I can take at the moment with this club. My emotions are drained mentally. I've had it. There's definitely cracks after the season that has been for 2023, but I think if we look any further than that, it's going to do Carlton more damage than good. It's 1 week at a time for sure. Now we've got Fremantle next
challenge.
week. It's a big challenge.
Yeah, huge.
They just came off of I think it was a fairly close game from memory, wasn't it?
They stuck with them for 3 quarters, 3 and a bit quarters, and then
Bulldogs just blasted away. Yeah. They will be upset, probably angry, and will hope to respond. They'll hope to respond next week against us. And like to your point, Andy, right? They're looking at us as a winnable game.
Every team would be.
I hope they'll get food poisoning.
Carlton doing his best, his absolute best to get us banned.
Well, one thing's for sure, you don't need to worry about Ed playing. He's not going to be able to make the flight. It's too far for him, so he won't be able to make it.
Yeah,
Doctor check the nursing home.
What we're all forgetting is that this bloke is probably the number 1 endurance player at this club. Like, he probably wins all the time trials. He probably wins all the fitness tests. He's probably the fittest guy we have on this team.
Yeah,
At his nursing
when
home.
you give him a footy, then that's when it all goes downhill.
Good times.
Now, speaking of Ed, obviously he had a bad game.
Speaking of Ed, we've had spoken about him for 30 minutes.
Speaking of Ed for the 4th time,
Poor bloke.
What
Poor
the
bloke.
hell?
Ed,
Why
I
on
swear
earth?
we don't hate you that much, bro.
We don't. But you just shouldn't be in the team. Why was Charlie Curnow taken off in the 4th quarter? The guy
They
is
made a mistake, bro. They got the wrong head.
100%.
They got the wrong curve.
100%.
Andrew
Oh,
Russell.
shit. We stuffed it. Why is Charlie off?
Andrew
Can you
Russell.
imagine? Can you imagine it was an accident?
Oh,
They
fuck.
submitted the wrong paperwork.
Imagine it
they
was,
wrote
and it's
3.
like, imagine it's round 23, and like they've just put Curnow and the wrong Curnow's come off, and
You know what
it's
it
a
is?
close game. Oh man,
The school holidays, they had someone doing work experience on the bench, and they thought, okay, just write down Curnow, he's number 30 something, and I put 30 instead of 35. Yep, get him off. It's
import from overseas.
I reckon they'll probably just put Charlie on ice, like he's, and bring Hewitt in for the scrappy sort of, last quarter or whatnot. So I reckon I didn't hear anything. I didn't see any. I didn't see him sort of pull up for any contests or anything like that. So I reckon they're just caution.
Yeah.
First quarter.
He went in some he crashed some packs, man.
He stayed down for a bit in the first. Yes, on the wing, in the pocket.
He got tunneled once as well in a contest in the mid
I remember that one. Yep.
So maybe he's a bit sore.
He crushed some packs today. So And like I think it was last year when he came back as well. Every time he jumped for the footy, like my heart's in my mouth. It's almost like we forgot that blokes had how many knee recos and whatnot. But yeah, it was almost like that as well when he got tunneled, and he stayed down. It's
it's
heart in your
hard
mouth
watching.
stuff.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Jack Martin was another one that went down the race for some treatment, and we thought, oh God, here we go.
Went to get his calf.
And we were joking about it.
And it was.
We're like, what's happened? Oh, it's probably his calf again. Lo and behold, Jack Martin he comes out of the race with his fucking calf strapped. We're like, oh no.
We need him on the park, man. We need him there.
He is so critical to the team. And how quickly has Cunningham shown how critical he is to the side as well, to that half forward line? He's brilliant. Man, I feel like my optimism is put together with duct tape, with like sticky tape at the moment. And every single player that plays in a win, if any one of them is taken out of the team for an injury or dropped for some unknown reason, I feel like everything just falls apart. It is very, very emotionally, I'm fragile as a Carlton supporter at the moment. Do you guys feel the same, or is it just me?
Nah, absolutely.
We're all there.
Nah, I think I've kind of checked out, man. This is the season. This is a season that's broken me. Like, whatever happens, man. Just let it happen. You know what I mean? Just go. Just do it. Whatever
Just
you
do
want, just do it.
If you're going to kill me, do it now.
Mine's a gradual death and decline. I had a lot more hair, obviously. Yeah, they've contributed to that. I should invoice them for that, but probably aged a good couple decades. But yeah, no, look, between the round 23 was like a dagger last year and a half, but this season was.
Oh, that was a bad one.
Coming in and again, the optimism. It's the hope that kills you. It's the hope. Yep. It's that optimism and hope. That's what kills you. And you can't not, like, even we talk about it now, right? But come sort of, the teams will be named on Thursday versus Freo. Dow will be named and then dropped on the extended team on Friday. Then, you get that optimism, like, oh, hold on, we might be a sneaky chance here. You start thinking to yourself, it's that hope and that optimism that every week it's that cycle. And media and opposition fans feed on that. They love that.
Yep. Carlton does numbers.
Yeah.
A bad Carlton does numbers.
Yeah. So all you opposition fans, I know you're waiting for a loss to view, but like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast, win or loss. I know you're waiting for losses. And on that, big props to everyone that's sort of come up to us before the game, during the game, after the game. Love the engagement, love the support.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Absolutely,
it's good to see. Big game next week against Freo. This is real test number one. If we're serious about rejuvenating our season, the slim hopes that we have for season 2023, here is real test number one. If we win, then I'll start to get a little excited. Now, at the moment, after a win against the Hawks, no, not yet. It was good. I enjoyed it, but not just yet. Win Freo, in Freo, then we're talking. Then we can start to,
do ladder predictions.
I've already been doing that, but then maybe I'll take the lid off the little carton that I threw away before. Carl, your 1 vote, 2 votes, and 3 votes for the Hawks v Carlton.
It's actually a tough one.
It is a tough one, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good players today. Look, I'm probably going to go 1 first. 1. It's a hard one. I'm going to give 1 to Cunningham.
Yep.
Loved what he did today on the wing, kicking a few goals, feel impressive. I was just actually going to say before, imagine we had him on the team last year. Who knows what would have happened? Let's not go there. 2, Charlie, and I'm going to give 3 to Jack Martin. What he did today is exactly what we needed. The composure, the setting up the play, a few goals. We've missed him a lot, man. So yeah,
I agree with that.
Go Blues.
I think that was a good one. Bus.
I'm going to give 1
By the way, I can only see your head.
My head?
Yeah.
Confused.
Where's your
Mate,
body?
we went to war today. We went to war.
I just took it. I just got it.
We went to war today, and we come out the other side.
All I can see is two hands. All I can see is two hands going like this. I can't see anything else. Two hands going like this next to your head.
Very good, very good, mate. I'm going to give 1 to Akers. I think he's probably played his best game all year. This is what we got him for. It's going to be interesting to see what he does next week.
Did I hear that right?
I know.
Shut the gates. Shut the gates. It's the end of the world.
I know.
Muslims drunk on Zamzam water.
Most complimenting Blake Acres.
I think he had a great game.
Gates.
Look, this is what I'm hoping they recruited him for, but I think he had a fantastic game. On the other end, I'm going to give 2 to Cunners. I think the link up between those two is fantastic, and it changes the dynamic of the game. And 3 to Jack Martin. What he did was superb. So that's my 3. Jack Martin.
Andy.
Doherty gets my 1. I think Doc hit the scoreboard. He was like pivotal with a lot of link up. I think he did really well. I was concerned about him running through the middle, but seemed to do pretty well today. Harry gets my 2. I think he was brilliant today. He had that one moment where he didn't make the distance from a snap. You're going to get that from Harry. I think you just cop that.
It's just standard now.
Yeah. I like that he went back next opportunity and slotted it through. And number 3, I'll give to Ben Stokes, who's absolutely doing a number on Australia right now as we record. Shaved head Chera. Shaved head Chera is a menace.
Yeah.
I say it every week. I think kicked a couple goals, 28, 29 touches, whatever he had, just killed it. He's just class.
Yeah, he's proven it week in, week out for a long, long time now, and I think
Is he all Australian?
he's definitely a shoo-in.
All Australian form?
He could be.
He could be, but I don't think so.
No, I don't reckon. I don't think so.
Maybe squad. Maybe squad.
Maybe. Yeah, extended squad.
Yeah.
He's probably got Ed Kerner pushing a bit in front of him, just behind Ed.
He's probably lifting it up, if anything. Georgie.
I'm going to go. This was the hardest one, like in a long time doing this because we had so many players doing well. But I'll give my 1 to Sam Walsh, and the reason was his delivery was just sublime all day. Like that's what you want, right? For a bloke that again he works hard, he racks up those touches and whatnot as well. But some of his field kicking when he came back in that Adelaide game and since was a bit lacking. It was either balls dropping too short or over the top of heads. But his delivery today was sublime. So one purely for that because that's something that we've just been crying out for. So 1 for that. I was contemplating that or the fact that Jack was undersized and he battled all day, but I'll give it to Walsh because that's like something that we've been screaming out for. 2 to Jack Martin. 12 touches, 3 goals. I said it last week. I want Jack Martin or your Cunners, but mainly Jack Martin to have your Sam Powell Pepper type game. 11 or 12 touches, 2 or 3 goals. Like that's all you need. That's perfect. That's the perfect game. He gets people into the game, makes those great runs, gets those goals, gets opportunities, brings your forwards and your teammates into the game. It's exactly what you want. That's what we've been lacking. And Harry got my 3, man. Harry, like yes, 2 goals. I think three behinds and 1 that might have dropped short, but. Racked up a bit of the ball, almost 20 touches, 8 or 9 marks. He was clunking them. He was working hard. He was tackling. 4 or 5 tackles as a forward is fantastic. He's set up 2 goals. Didn't blaze away. So he was like, if he starts converting more and more, like the 2021 form or whatnot. Yes, there's a few times where should he snap it? Shouldn't he snap it? But today he was on. He was bringing. I think he was playing higher up, right? He wasn't as deep. He was playing a little bit higher up, that centre half forward style role. So fantastic. Loved his game.
Yeah. It's a tough one this week. Usually Usually when we go through these, it's quite easy. There's only one or two players that are really played well. But this week is a bit of a different story. So I think for me, my one vote goes to Walsh. I'll give it to Walsh. I thought, to your point, Georgie, he's getting better and better as the weeks go on, and in the last 2 weeks, he's back to the level of expectation that we sort of expect. That play is back. That Walsh that we all know and love is back. So it's very good to see. My 2 votes goes to Mackay. Again, it wasn't as soon as the ball's gotten into his hand, he's going to go for goal. It was, hey, is this the best option? He's starting to think with the ball in his hands now, which is brilliant. And he set up him and Kerno, both of our key forwards were starting to not only kick goals but set them up too. And my 3 votes goes to Jack Martin, who's since the Essendon game, he's played 3 full AFL games. He didn't get a did he get a stint in the VFL? I think he did, didn't he? Or he played 1 game in the VFL and then came straight into the side.
Yeah.
And since the Essendon game, he's gotten better and better and better. Clearly better game on game since then. And he's now putting points on the scoreboard. So that's my 1, 2, and 3. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure.
Sorry, Mark, before we go.
Yep.
I was told that I needed to apologise for a few things, because apparently after beating Gold Coast and Hawthorn, apparently that's good enough to forgive the club for the couple months before. And what's that guy's name? Is it Ryan? Is it Brock? I don't know. He's got 2 first names. Anyway, I did some digging on my newfound mortal enemy. Apparently you're quite the short king, my friend. Apparently you're a short king. So I'm just going to leave that there. And I'll tell you what you can do with your apology. You can wait for it. I'm not going to stick it anywhere. You can wait for an apology. I'll tell you what, if we make finals, I will apologise wholeheartedly to anyone that I've spoken negatively about. But for now, they can all suck it. So that's where I'm standing.
Fair enough. Let's see where this rivalry gets between you and Mr. Brock.
Might have to
Gentlemen,
get him on one day, mate.
We might have to.
Might have to get him in the ring.
It was a pleasure being with you all at the G as we tore apart the Hawks by 10 goals. It's 2 weeks in a row that we've won by 10 goals. It's brilliant. It's been enjoyable, but the real test comes next week. There was a lot of positive signs both out of the Gold Coast game and the Hawks game. But is it enough for us Carlton supporters to be excited and start to throw around the finals word just yet? No. Calm down. Daniel Gorringe, put your lid back on. Go find it. Whatever you've done with it, find it. Put it back on. Put it back in the cupboard.
You're saying it's not enough for me to look at flights to Perth? Now?
Not just yet. Not just yet. We've still got a long, long way to go. And yes, I think the best option for the club and for us supporters, just to limit the amount of emotional damage that could possibly come by the end of this season, is to take it 1 week at a time. But until next week, gentlemen, thank you very much. We will see you all at the game preview. Sayonara.
Take care.
Genau.
Thanks, gents.